Hello, boys and girls. So, today and this week we are still talking about asking and answering questions, but we're going to be talking about something different when you're answering questions. Sometimes when you're answering questions, you have to do what's called making an inference or inferring while you read. Now, that is a big word that you might have not heard before, so let's talk about what inferencing or what making an inference is. So what happens if we have a question and the answer isn't right there in the story? So sometimes an author won't tell you the answer to a question. When this happens, we have to make inferences. Inferences are when you use what the story tells you and what you already know to figure something out. So the story might say, the boy's hands started to shake when he walked into his new class on the first day of school. What I already know about that is the first day of school can be scary sometimes. Your hands can shake when you feel nervous. So my inference is, My inference is the boy is feeling nervous or scared based on what the author told me. So the boy's hands started to shake. I know that means he's nervous or he's scared. And I think it's because it's the first day of school because that's what's happening. And I know some people get nervous on the first day of school. So the author didn't tell me that. I just used what was already in my brain to make that inference. So it's kind of like you're a detective and you're figuring out a riddle. So it's kind of fun. All right, so making inferences takes time. This skill takes practice. So I want you to think about how the characters feel, what they do, your own experiences, and you can look at the pictures and look at the characters' faces and what's going on, how they look. We practiced talking about those feelings that characters experience in small group last week, and we're going to continue talking about characters' feelings as we go along. But once you have thought about all these things, you make a good guess as to what you think the answer is or what you think happened. So in your packet this week, you're going to be looking at clues in the story, what happened in the story, what you already know, and what your inference is. And right here I put the text evidence. That means what's actually written down in the story. I put background knowledge. That's what you know in your brain already. And then your guess. So an inference is like a really good guess, but it's not just a random guess. It's based on what you know and what the story said. You didn't just make it up out of thin air. Okay, so we're going to look at an example, and I'm going to do that with you. I'm going to read this little short story to you, and then we're going to talk about it. So Mom cradled Jimmy and stared into his eyes as she rocked him back and forth. Baby, baby, sweet baby boy, she sang. Slurp, slurp, slurp. Jimmy sucked. Just as Jimmy was finishing up, he cooed, then burped, and immediately fell asleep. With a full stomach, Mom knew Jimmy would rest for a long time. So, do we know exactly, did the author say, this is what is happening? No, but we know what's happening based on what we already know and what we read. So let's go to our chart. What happened in the story? Let's look. We know that Jimmy is a baby, and we know that he was slurping something, which was probably, I know babies drink out of a bottle sometimes, so it was probably a bottle, and he burped afterwards, so I think that the mom was feeding him, and then he took a nap. So what happened in the story? Mom was singing a lullaby to a baby. Mom was singing a lullaby to a baby. Jimmy was slurping as she held him. She said he would rest for a long time. So this is what it said in the story. Mom was singing a lullaby. We know that because she said, baby, baby, sweet baby boy. She sang. And then we know he was eating, And we also knew that Mom thought he would rest for a long time. So what I already know, Mom was singing a lullaby to a baby. When do people sing lullabies? I know people sing lullabies when they, I wonder if it's I. People sing lullabies. I don't know if I'm spelling that wrong, boys and girls. Lullabies. People sing lullabies when they want their baby to go to sleep or be calm. Jimmy was slurping as she held him, so I know that babies drink milk out of a bottle sometimes. So babies sometimes drink milk out of a bottle. And then she said he would rest for a long time. So after babies eat, they get sleepy. And if you all have any baby brothers or sisters, you know this is true. So my inference is the lullaby will put him to sleep. I think that's going to happen based on her singing the lullaby and me knowing that it calms babies down and puts them to sleep. My guess is that that will put him to sleep. Also, I think Jimmy was eating. The reason I think he was eating is that he was making a slurping sound, and babies sometimes drink milk out of a bottle and when they're being held by their moms. So I think Jimmy was eating. And she said he would rest for a long time. After babies eat, they get sleepy. So I think, just like we put on the first one, I think he will fall asleep. All right. For this next one, I want you all, if whoever you're watching this with, I want you to pause it and answer what you think is happening in this second story with them, okay? If you're watching it by yourself, then you can just think in your brain, what is happening? So, Benny and Jed strolled through the meadow. They were surprised to hear humming noises coming from one side of the path. To their surprise, they spotted a hive. They got closer and closer until a swarm came right towards them. Ouch! Ouch! Benny screamed. Benny, run! Yelled Jed. They got me, Benny cried, sprinting down the path. So, what happened to Benny? How do you know? So if you are watching this with someone, you can pause it and talk about the clues that you can see right here. There's a humming noise coming from the side of the path. They spotted a hive. What lives in a hive? What lives in a hive? If you said bees, then you are right. And what do you think the bees did to Benny if he is screaming, ouch, ouch, and they're trying to run away? What do you think the bees did to Benny? If you said that you thought that they stung him, then I think you are correct. We know that. The author didn't say that, but we know that based on our own knowledge of what bees do to people sometimes. So, I hope that you all have fun this week with your inferences. And if you have any questions, please let me know. If you want to make your own chart and fill it out, you can. But the chart in your packet is there for you. Okay? So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you all later.